morning, good afternoon, good evening. Hope you guys are doing well. Hope everyone's having a good day so far. Today, we are going back behind my Spotify. This time around, we're going to be looking at my Reality 2024 playlist. Now, for those who don't know what this is basically a playlist where I go over my albums of the year. And we're going to do things a little bit differently this time around because I actually have all the CDs with me for these albums that I listen to. I will say, like, the albums that are on this playlist, some of them I didn't really expect to be on here. I expected a whole different, like, lineup of bands and artists that I thought were going to be on here. I had a completely different expectation for, like, what this playlist was going to contain. Like, for example, just as, like, this is what I thought was going to be on here. I thought, like, I think just, like, two artists I thought were going to be on this playlist. Well, I'll just say one for a band. The Plot and You was one band that I thought was going to be on this playlist, but they haven't dropped an album. They've just been dropping EPs, and they're super short, and I'm hoping, like, next year they just drop an album with all of these songs. I mean, I don't know if they're going to do that. I hope they do, because if they don't, I'm going to be really disappointed in the band, because I do think albums are a staple for, like, music, and, like, it's a way you can listen to all this stuff, and it's a way you can connect to just the albums you like listening to in, like, the car or something like that. But I digress. We are going to start by going over these albums, and I want to talk about them kind of in depth. Some of them I'll talk about in depth, some of them I won't, because, you know, I just listen to them. Like, how I kind of rank the albums, I'll listen to them first, like, on my phone through Spotify, and then if I think the album is going to be my album of the year, or it's going to be on that list, I'll buy the CD, assuming it has a CD, because that is my requirement with these albums of the year. They got to be good. They got to have a CD. It's a very short, like, little requirement list, but but yeah. So yeah, I'll listen to it in the car, and then that'll determine whether it's album of the year or not, because hearing it in the car is different from hearing it in your, like, headphones. But yeah, so we're gonna get into the first album here, which is going to be, and this is, so I'm going from the bottom to the top. So we're gonna start at the bottom of, like, what I thought was, like, not at the number one, but it was at the very bottom. So we're going bottom to top. Just letting you guys know. First album that we're gonna talk about is Make Them Suffer. Wow, that's lighting. Whoa, Make Them Suffer. Very cool album. I've been waiting for, this is one of those albums I was like, I want this to be on this list for this year. I think this album for Make Them Suffer, I think this is 4 years in the making, roughly. Because I think their last album was in 2019 or 2020. So about as long as, like, Bring Me the Horizon. But the album's a solid album. I've heard a lot of the songs on this album. I don't know if I've ever, like, gone over the I don't know if I brought the CDs up on stream, but the background for this CD, I don't know if you can see it. Pretty freaking cool, man. It's like a city in the background, I think. It looks like a city. That's what I think it is. I think it's a city. I can't tell. But anyway, yeah, man, let's talk about this album. Let's do it. So, just kind of looking on Spotify here, my top tracks off of this album, because I did a top 5 of, like, because obviously it's a top 10 list of albums. There's 10 albums on here in total. Top 5 songs I had to pick, which number 5 is gonna be Man of God. Man of God's, like, pretty good. And it's funny, all these songs that I have at top 5 are, like, ones I've already heard that were not dropped with the album. They've already released. But yeah, number 5 is Man of God. Number 4 is Oscillator. Number 3 is Doom Switch. Doom Switch is the first song they debuted with a new vocalist and guitarist, which is pretty cool. And I like that song a lot. And then Epitaph is a really catchy one. And then number 1 is Ghost to Me. I thought that was their best one off of this album, but if I had to give the album just a rating overall, because I feel like the album tracks were good, they were solid, they didn't compared to like the singles they dropped, I feel like I didn't like the album tracks as much, and I kind of liked the singles more. I'm definitely going to give this album like a 7 out of 10, just because, again, it's not my favorite album of the year. It's on there, it's on this list, but I don't know. I didn't really like. I think the album's a lot of screamy stuff, and I do feel like with music nowadays, like, I don't want it to all be screams. I want a mix of like clean singing and screaming, and this album has that, but I feel like it was more screamy than clean. I don't know how to describe it, but like because you'll see my list, like it's interesting. I just have a more like clean tasting sound, I guess. I don't know, but the album was solid overall. I did really like it. It was a good record. But yeah, Make Them Suffer, which is a self-titled album, by the way, which is really cool. When albums do self-titled, it's like, that's how you know the album was good. Yeah, so I'll just put that right there. The next album we're gonna get into is, okay, that's good, cool. The next album we're gonna get into is Void of Vision, What I'll Leave Behind. These type of CDs I really like, where it's the plastic. I don't like the new style they're doing with where it's like the sleeved cases. They're like the Spotify, I call them the Spotify CDs, where they're like, I don't know. I miss the plastic. I think these are like, these keep the CD secure while the sleeved ones don't. But yeah, man, Void of Vision, What I'll Leave Behind. I really like this album. It was very good. It was a very good album. Let's talk about it, dude. Also, the album art is crazy. Look at that. I know the lighting gets a little freaky, but yeah, isn't that wild? That's crazy. It's cool album work. I don't really understand it. There's probably some symbolism behind it that I'm not getting at the moment, but let's just go over the record. Also, I'm sorry I'm coughing a lot. My throat's killing me. Just talking about the album itself. It's 10 songs. I think it's shorter than the Make Them Suffer album, but it's like short and sweet, I guess. There's a lot of like heavy songs on here, and me personally, I didn't really like a lot of the heavier tracks on this album. Again, I'm kind of like with the Make Them Suffer thing. I like the clean stuff that I forget the vocalist's name. It won't come to me. But the vocalist for this album is really good when he cleans things. I like it a lot. Like, I think my top 5 tracks here are Angel of Darkness at number 5, Oblivion at number 4, Supernova number 3, and then at number 2 is Gamma Knife, and number 1 is Empty. Those are my top 5. I really do like Empty because I think the line in the chorus is, "I've never felt so empty," which I love that line a lot. And then the album title, What I'll Leave Behind. That's a crazy album title. It's like what I'll leave behind when I pass. Because I think the vocalist of this band had, I don't want to say it was cancer. There was something, he had a medical condition. I don't remember what it was, but I think he's back in like full force almost, I think. But the fact that like they dropped this album, and it is a really good album. It's solid. Also, I love that the album artwork is you can't see it. Hold on. The album artwork on Spotify is different. It's the backing of this, but then you got the front. You get like the full. That's cool, man. I think that's neat. But if I had to give this album a rating, It is a 6 out of 10. I think that's the lowest I scored on this album. For like, yeah, it is the lowest. But the reason was there was a lot of heavier tracks on this I didn't love as much as the clean tracks. But that is just my preference. Still a solid album overall. A really solid album. Now, getting into the next album, which this album is nothing but clean vocals. It's a solid pop punk album. This is an album by Neck Deep. It's their self-titled album. The bubble artwork on this bad boy, dude. Look at that. Isn't that cool? Isn't that neat? This is a pretty cool album. But yeah, this is what I meant by like the sleeved. This is what I call the Spotify CD covers, because they're completely different. It's a weird style that like Spotify is doing, because I don't know if this came directly from Spotify. I just call it the Spotify CDs because that's where I buy a lot of my CDs is from Spotify. But of course it comes from like comes from the record label. But anyway, the album art is still really cool. I do like it a lot. And when you talk about this album, because it's pretty neat, it's just a simple, like, it's a pop punk banger. It's really good. I liked a lot of the singles that were dropping from this, and that's why I got the album. But I don't like there's a lot of singles on here that like, or a lot of the songs on the album that I'm not as huge big a fan of as I am like with the other singles, but still, it's a solid record. Just talking about the top 5 songs here that I really liked. At number 5, We Need More Bricks. Number 4, It Won't Be Like This Forever. Number 3, Heartbreak of the Century, it's a great song. Number 2, Take Me With You, which is like a whole song based off like aliens, like Take Me With You When You Go. And then at my number 1 is actually a song that I think they dropped as a single, but it was an album song. Dumbstruck Dumbfuck, which is really good. They have it blurred out on the album. Which I don't know why they did, but that's probably the best song on the record is Dumbstruck. Yeah, it's literally, that song it's so catchy, dude. I think it goes Before I Surrender. I don't remember the whole song, but it's the first, funny enough, it's the first song on the record, and it's just so solid, dude. I love it. I love it a lot. If I had to give the album a rating, 8 out of 10. It's just so solid. Again, there's like songs like Moody Weirdo, Go Outside. Like, I don't like those songs as much as I do like all the other songs, but still, man, it's a solid record. It's really good. Really good. Again, just, showing the album artwork again. I love that bubble text, dude. It's so good. Look at it. Bubble text. That's cool, man. Getting into the next album, because we're kind of gonna blow through this real quick. I say real quick, but we're gonna try and speed run this. The next album that I have on here, and this is so we've done 10, 9, 8. This is gonna be number 7. I've been waiting to talk about this album for a little bit. This is an album by Fame on Fire. It is the Death Card. The album artwork's pretty cool. I like it a lot. It's pretty neat. Again, it's that Spotify CD thing. Now, what I want to talk about with this record is, simply put, the album concept is why I got this album, why I like the album a lot. Because the whole album is going off of tarot, which I think is really cool. I think it's really neat. I'm glad that it's doing a tarot theme. What I am disappointed by is, so here we'll look into the album right now and just kind of go over it real quick. So the songs, obviously, they're all based off of tarot cards. There's 12 songs in total, I believe. 1, 2, 12. There's 12 cards in a tarot deck. However, the album itself is called the Death Card. Now, I don't want to criticize how you call your album, but like, you're making an album based off of tarot cards. Shouldn't the album name be simple? Just call it like Tarot, the Full Deck, or something like that? I don't know, maybe I'm crazy, but like I do think like you should have just called it Tarot, the full deck or something like that. Like the Tarot deck or something like that. I don't know. Because you've got 12 songs, 12 cards, the full Tarot deck, but you're titling it the Death card. It's a weird thing. I don't know. I mean, maybe there's a deeper meaning behind that, but it's like, for me personally, I would have named it the Tarot deck. That's a negative for me, right? And talking about the songs, I actually like based my favorite songs on this album off of the choruses, not the verses, not the style of the song. The choruses are what, like, because the choruses I think are like what hook you, and the choruses are all so different, but they're so good. Number 5, Nothing Left the Fool. No Tomorrow, the Death card. 3, Nightmare the Devil. 2, Spiral, Justice. And that number 1, Desire the Moon. Those are my favorite songs in order off of this album. Again, should have named it the Tarot deck or something like that, or like Tarot, the full deck in parentheses, but those are my negatives. If I had to give the album a rating, it's gonna be 7 out of 10. Because for the most part, the album's pretty simple. Like the album doesn't get crazy or anything like that, but again, the whole, the concept of the album, just calling it the Death card, I felt like it's too simple. I don't know. I would have just named it Tarot, the full deck, but that's just me personally. But the album is really solid. It's really good. I do like it a lot. But yeah, anywho, again, album solid. The art's pretty cool too. I do like it a lot. It's kind of based off the Death card, but it's my first. I forgot to mention the 4 albums we've talked about just now. All of these are firsts on for album of the year. Like they've never been on any of my playlists at all. They've this is the first for all of them, and this is the first Fame on Fire album I've listened to. Same with Void of Vision, Neck Deep, and Make Them Suffer. Like a lot of firsts. And what won't be a first, so that's 10, 9, 8, 7. So at number 6, we do have a returning band that has never, or that has been on an album of the year that was in 2022, I believe. Yeah. This band was on my album of the year in 2022, none other than State Champs with the Silver Trophy. This is their self-titled album. Look at that album artwork. I don't know if you can see it. The camera's being weird. It's just a Silver Trophy. Now, I did not actually expect this band to make the list at all. I really thought like they weren't gonna make the cut here, but they actually blew my expectations out of the freaking water, man. For a self-titled album, I'm like, oh, these have to be some of your best songs. And I thought, Kings in the New Age, I thought that was their best album. Me personally, I love that album. It's so good. Because I think my favorite song on there is Everybody But You. That's such a good song. I relate to it so much. It's really good. But yeah, dude, the songs on this album are solid. Like all of them. All of them are good. And that's crazy to say because, dude, like you could listen to this whole album and you would be like, you would want to play it on repeat. But my favorites off of this album, at number 5, Light Blue. Number 4, I Still Want To. Number 3, Hell of It. Number 2, Just a Dream. And at number 1, Silver Cloud. Dude, all of the songs on here are good, but those are my top 5. They blew it out of the water. There's 12 songs on here? Kind of like the same with Fame on Fire, but dude, solid record. If I had to give it a rating, 8 out of 10. It's just so good. I am shocked they came back with a banger, but I'm glad they did. I'm pretty sure, out of this whole list, they are the only, this is the only band that actually comes back for an album of the year, which is wild. Because I think last year Beartooth did. There was a lot of like new, like I think a lot of returning bands came back on my last album of the year, but still pretty cool. Now getting into, also just real quick, if we want to show the artwork again, bam, trophy, whoa, crazy. State Champs, very good. Self-titled album, by the way. I don't know if I mentioned that, but self-titled. Getting into number 5 on the album of the year list, man. And I have heard, I've listened to this band, not their full albums, but I've listened to a few of their songs. And this is the first time I've listened to an album in full by them that I have genuinely liked. This is like my first listen to an album from this band. Didn't think they were ever going to come back, but From Zero, from Linkin Park, such a good album. Such a good album. I don't love every song on this album. I will say that. There are songs that I prefer over this album. I'm actually gonna drink something real quick. My throat's a little dry. A little parched, if you will. But I have never listened to a Linkin Park album in full other than this one. This is my first. I love this album. It's very good. Again, there's a lot of songs on this album that I don't like as much as the other ones that I have picked for my top 5. But one thing that's really cool, and we're going to go over it here. So funny thing about like, this song and then Good Things Go, I guess it's like a perfect, like when the album ends, it goes perfectly right back into From Zero. But I love, if you put those two things together, Good Things Go, From Zero. Like from start. I love that concept. Someone pointed that out to me and I'm like, oh, that's cool. That's neat. That's a neat little thing. But just going over my top 5 here. At number 5, Stained. I like Stained a lot. Number 4, Two-Faced. Number 3, Emptiness Machine, which I know a lot of people, that was the first song that came out, and I think it's an okay song. It's definitely my favorite out of every single song here. Number 2, Over Each Other. I love Over Each Other, dude. I feel like that was like a I don't know if that was a sleeper track from the singles they dropped, but Over Each Other was really underrated for like the Linkin Park songs that came out. Like that was such a good song. And number 1, obviously, Heavy Is the Crown. I love that song. It's so good. And that's like a League of Legends World's anthem, which is so cool. I like that a lot. And also, by the way, Heavy Is the Crown, I should grab the other version of the song and throw it on this playlist because it technically counts because it's part of this. But Heavy Is the Crown is another version on Arcane, which I think is really cool. So probably after this video, I'll grab that song and throw it on here. But yeah, again, solid record. If I had to give it a rating, and a lot of these ratings are going to be the same, 8 out of 10. Just because, like, this is my first Linkin Park album, and also I don't like a lot of the other songs as much as I do the ones I've listed on here. But it is a solid record. It is, like, really good. It's a good comeback album, too, because I've never listened to any of the previous Linkin Park albums. Actually, funny story about Linkin Park. Back in, like, high school, we ended up, like, I was working in, like, a computer repair lab, and we ended up we booted a PC, and I ejected, like, because there was a CD player in it, we ejected it, and I think it was Hybrid Theory that was inside of the PC. Like, someone was just playing Linkin Park Hybrid Theory, in the computer. I thought it was really funny. I thought I'd bring that story up since we're talking about Linkin Park. But again, Linkin Park, From Zero, a very good album. The album artwork's really cool too. I've watched all the Linkin Park TV stuff. How they made this album artwork, so incredibly what's the word I'm thinking of? Not iconic. The way they made this album artwork is genius. Like, it's unique. New York, you know? It is cool. it is neat. I like how they made the album artwork. It's very good. So next album on the list, we got to go over it. And I feel like this is a really underrated album. Like, no one talks about this album because for the most part, they just dropped singles up until the album dropped. But at number 4, we got Floya. Yum. Very good album. It's very good. And Yum is Japanese for dream. This is a collection of some of ours. We invite you to experience them with us. And look at this, man. It's a fantasy. It's very cool. I love this album. It's really good. It's a really solid record. We're going to talk about it because we should, right? Let's do that. So, talking about Floya's Yum. It's such a good record. There's so many. This is like an album that, like, I wanted something I hadn't heard before. I wanted a band to try something new, do a sound that I haven't heard before, because a lot of the albums on here are pretty much the samey, minus the next one we're going to talk about. But I want to hear a sound that I haven't heard before from, like, a band or like an artist, you know? That is like my goal with listening to music, is finding something new. And this was something new. Now, my favorite songs on here are as follows. Number 5, Drift. Number 4, Stay. Number 3, Willows. Number 2, Fluorescent. It's a really good one. I like that one. I like all of them. They're such good songs. And number 1 is The Hymn. The Hymn is the first one I think they dropped in it. Well, it might not have been the first one, but it was probably the second one. Really good song. I like the guitars in the music. I love the dude's voice. I also believe this band is German, which is pretty cool. And again, if I had to give the record a rating, it'd be an 8 out of 10. It's solid. There's no skips on the record either. Like, I prefer some songs over others, but the album's really good. Again, Floya, Yum, which also means dream. Go listen to it. It's very good. Look at that album artwork. It's crazy. Also, I'm sure this isn't AI, because I'm sure they just, like, they probably found, like, a house near a sea, and we're, like, throwing, like, orange water all around with watercoloring. There's no way this is. I feel like this album artwork has to be real, right? I don't know. Maybe someone made it. Who knows? Anyway, we are down to the top 3 albums of the year. And boy howdy, do I have to talk about these albums. Because they are so good. They are so good. This is going to be my first 9 out of 10 for an album. But at number 3, ready for this? Bring Me the Horizon, Posthuman Next Gen. I've been waiting for this album for, like, a while. Ever since Die For You came out, I've been waiting for this album, man. It is so good. Look at there's like a backside to it, but then you open the you open the CD, it's like a whole map. Like, this album's crazy. It's actually a wild piece of artwork. It's cool, man. It's really cool. But yeah, I've been waiting for this album for a long time. We're gonna talk about it because this album's really freaking cool, man. It's so good, brother. It's so good. Every song on here is so good. The one thing, so I do have, like, not even negatives. I don't like that Dig It is 7 minutes and 13 seconds. Wish it could have been shorter, but that's just preference. But dude, the entire album's a banger. It's so good. It was so hard to pick, like, favorite songs on this record, because, like, there was a lot of songs, like, I preferred over others, and you're gonna look at my choices here and you're gonna be like, oh, you like the clean stuff that Ollie was doing. And yeah, I do. I prefer that. Like, I know for, like, their next project, they're doing a they're doing a deathcore album or something like that, or death metal album, whatever. But that is probably not going to be for me, and I probably won't listen to it. But I do prefer the side of Ollie and then Bring Me the Horizon just doing cleans and doing what they do best, you know? But we're gonna go off of the top 5 list here for my top songs. At number 5, Die For You. That's a classic. It's really good. Came out in like 2021, I think. So, at number 4, Strangers. At number 3, Dark Side. I love that song. It's really good. At number 2, Lost. So good. But then the one that topped it all was, for me, at number 1, Top 10 Statues That Cried Blood. That chorus is incredible, dude. It's so good. It's incredible. I give the rating a 9 out of 10. It's almost a perfect album, for me personally. But the one thing I don't like about the album is the OSTs. That's just me personally. I would have done without it, and then making Dig It like a shorter song, just getting rid of the static audio. The fact that there's no audio there. But yeah. This album is like, it's almost perfect for me. I just think, for me personally, I don't like interlude tracks. And that's kind of what like the OSTs are. You know, they're like interlude tracks. I don't like Puss-E is 2 minutes and 49 seconds, but it's not, it's kind of like EDM, like club music almost, I think is how I describe it. But again, like the whole album's, it's a banger. The whole thing's a banger. Again, there's just some songs I prefer over others, but like I think I'd listen to every, if this album was just, you got rid of the OSTs and you made Dig It like shorter, 10 out of 10 no skip album. Honestly, I'd listen to the heavy stuff too. They're that good. They are just that good. Again, I'm gonna show off the album artwork because it's really cool. Even though it's like, it's not the typical plastic, you can do cool artwork with this stuff. It's neat, dude. Little map. It's cool. It's a neat album. It's really good. Now, this was my album of the year, like at number 1. It got bumped down to number 2. And it was pretty close to being my number 1 until someone dropped an album out of nowhere, which we are going to talk about. But we're going to talk about this album kind of in depth a little bit, because I want to. Charlotte's Hands. Can We Start Over? This album's a 10 out of 10 banger. I'm just going to give you the rating right now. It's a 10 out of 10. There are no skips on this album. It's very cool. The album artwork's neat as well. Look at that. Crazy. Now, one thing I want to talk about before we get into my top 5 songs, obviously I gave you the rating a little early. There was a song on here called Get Over It. This song made me tear up. I don't know why. Just the fact of, like, the song is basically talking about, with Get Over It, it's talking about, the fact of, like, talking about a wall, like, getting over it and then falling off of it, I think is what it's called. Like, you could build a wall, but I'll just get over it. I think that's what the lyrics are. Could be wrong. The song made me tear up because of that idea of, like, I'll just get over it. Like, I'll just get over it, or get over a wall. But yeah, man, that song made me tear up, and I don't know why. It's just, the concept of it is really neat. And funny enough, that song played at where I work. It played in the store radio. I think that's wild. I think that's super cool. The fact that, like, that song specifically played at my store, I think that's wild. I didn't know it was getting radio play, so that's really cool. Another thing I want to talk about. The CD order of the songs is wrong compared to Spotify. So let me look at the album here. Give me a second. And we'll kind of just go over this real quick. So you probably can't see part of this, but so what is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So where is this? So on the album order, you'll notice Teeth is at number 5. On the CD, this is funny. On the CD, instead of Teeth playing at number 5, Dead Body plays. Blind Spot is at number 6. Instead of Blind Spot being at number 6, Teeth plays. And you'll notice that number 7 is Dead Body. Instead of Dead Body, Blind Spot plays. It's like the songs are like they're almost backwards, which is really funny. It's such a stupid thing to point out, but they got the CD order wrong of the song. So I thought I'd point that out because I think I think it's funny. I don't know. maybe I'm being silly about it, but I think it's a funny little thing. But yeah, man. So going over my top 5 here. At number 5, Spite. Love that song. Number 4, Use Me. Which I love the chorus of that. Use me, I don't mind. I'll be the bad guy. So cool. Number 3, Get Over It. I think he goes, I could build a wall, but I would just get over it. So good. Number 2, Blind Spot. That song's pretty sad. I'm shocked that didn't make me tear up. Get Over It did. But then at number 1 is On the Outside featuring Point North. That is such a good song, man. That's so good. It's a really good song. I like that song a lot. That's my favorite one on the record. It's really good. Again, 10 out of 10. Perfect. It's a perfect record, dude. There's nothing I have nothing bad to say about the album. It's so good. It's incredible. Again, go buy it. Go stream it. I don't know if there's more CDs available, but it's a good album. It's really neat. I like it a lot. It's cool. I like it. Now, on to the number 1 album that took the spot, man, which is actually it is crazy to say that this album is my number 1 because it kind of swooped in November out of nowhere, which is crazy. I don't know how this album took the top spot, but it did. It's crazy that this album made the top. I don't know how. It's a 15 track album. It is a 10 out of 10. I'm just giving you the rating now. This is Echo. Pressure. He signed this. This is a 10 out of 10 album, man. And I want to read the quote in here because this dude, I love this quote for me personally because it says, while pressure does create diamonds, I found it can also drive you deep into darkness. If you find yourself lost in that darkness, you're not alone. There's a way out and you're the one who holds the light. So cool, man. I love this album. Again, this album, when I first heard it, it surprised the hell out of me. Like, genuinely. Like, this album, it shocked me that it was this good. Like, every single song in here, there was no skip on this album. It is so good. And I wanted to get the CD because it's that good of an album. It's crazy that it is a really good album. It's a 10 out of 10 for me. There's no skips on it. It's like, dude, I honestly, again, I've only heard the one Linkin Park album from Zero, right? This is a better Linkin Park album. That's how I describe it. It is a solid, like, it's so good. I say it's a better Linkin Park album because it has that vibe of like rap rock, and not a lot of people can channel that well. And it's so good. It's just a solid. It's so good. This album's a banger. I love it. We're gonna talk about it. Now, one thing that I didn't know who Echo was until he did this collab with Low Spirit, which was Hello Loneliness. By the way, this guy, dude, he's very good at what he does. His music's incredible. I'm hoping he's gonna drop an album next year, which I know he is. He said he's working on one. So I can't wait to see what he does with that. But anywho, without that collab with Low Spirit, I would not have known who this dude was. And he did another collab with Low Spirit. Both songs are on this record, which makes this album even better. It's a no skip album. It's so good. It is 15 songs of pure gas, bro. All gas, no brakes, all right? That's when like, literally, this album is so good. Also, there's the thumbnail for Reality 2024, by the way. But, yeah, this album, it is so I can't say enough about this album. Like, it is a great album. This dude's underrated as hell. He's so underrated, and he's so good at what he does. Like, I love the album. Just going over my top 5 songs here. At number 5 is going to be Drag Me From Hell. At number 4 is Pressure. I love that song. It's so good. Number 3 is Hello Loneliness. Number 2, Coffin Made for Two. I love that song. That's such a good song. And then number 1 is Good Things. I love the Low Spirit collabs. They're really good. But I love a lot of these solo songs that Echo does on here are so good. Like, they're really solid. I love them a lot. But yeah, Echo is my number 1 album of the year. Pressure, it's just, again, just going over, I'll show you it again, but dude, he signed it. I've been playing it in my car a lot. It is such a good album. Genuinely. So, again, these are all my albums of the year. I'm gonna put them down there. You can't see where I'm pointing, obviously, but I'm gonna put them down there. I have a little CD case. I love having CDs just to have around. But yeah, man, this is Reality 2024, my albums of the year for the year. I am looking forward to next year because I do have albums that I want to hear. Obviously, Daughtry, he's doing like a metal album next year, so I think that's really cool. He'll be dropping a full one next year, I hope. The Plot and You, Breaking Benjamin, Low Spirit. I'm really looking forward to that album. Architects, Bury Tomorrow. There's some albums I'm looking forward to next year, and I can't wait to see what comes out next year. I'm very excited for 2025 for music. I'm hoping it's really good. Same for games. I'm really excited for games too, but music, looking forward to those albums just in specific and in general. I think they're going to be really solid. But anywho, that's going to be the video for today, but thank you guys for watching. If you did, as always, I appreciate it a ton, and I will see you guys in the next video, and yeah, goodbye.